Imagine you're out on the Atlantic Ocean, right near the Strait of Gibraltar, near the Mediterranean. You're going through the Strait of Gibraltar between Morocco and Spain. It's a beautiful day. The waves are a little choppy because the wind is going, but you're on a sailboat, so you're having a great time. The wind is in your sails. You're moving along quite nicely. It's having a pretty nice day. Then all of a sudden, you see some orcas. Even better, right? When you see orcas, apex predator, beautiful animals, sometimes they'll come around the boat because they're curious. But these orcas are not just curious, but they're damaging your boat. Some people are saying they're attacking the boat, but we don't know really why. And it's got researchers and scientists baffled about what's happening in the Strait of Gibraltar with orcas and boats. And we're going to talk about it on this episode of the Speak Up for the Ocean Blue podcast. It's time to start the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Speak Up for the Ocean Blue podcast. I am your host, Andrew Lewin. Look, 2020 has been a crazy year. Kobe Bryant passed away tragically. We've had COVID. We had wildfires earlier. Yeah, don't forget about the wildfires in Australia. We have wildfires now off the west coast of North America. It's just been just a crazy year. And on top of that, now we have orcas going after boats in the Strait of Gibraltar. You know, a lot of the media agencies have been using, headlines like coordinated attacks on boats, saying that these orcas are doing something on purpose. And a lot of people are saying, well, maybe they're actually going after the people on the boat, or maybe they're just going after the boat. There have been a couple of instances over the last couple months in the summer where sailors have sent just distress calls after worrying encounters with some orcas. 2 boats lost parts of their rudders, and at least 1 crew member suffered bruising from the impact of ramming, and several boats sustained serious damage. Now, what's been happening is these orcas have basically surrounded a boat and started biting at the rudder. They would take turns coming in, biting at the rudder. They would ram the boats. Nobody really knows why, and that's scaring people. We tried to have a couple of scientists out here that were familiar with the area. They just said they just don't have information on this yet. They just don't know what's actually happening. Some of these, there's a video on YouTube of these animals, and they kind of paint a little bit of a not as scary scenario. The people on the boat are sailing. They're having a good time. These orcas are coming up. They're kind of laughing, but kind of cursing out the orcas at the same time. But you can see the orcas are going after the rudder, and they keep biting at the rudder. There are also, some people have said they felt it in the boat. They were ramming the keel, eventually breaking the keel and disabling the boat. One in July 29th off Cape Trafalgar, Victoria Morris was crewing a 46-foot a delivery boat and was surrounded by 9 orcas. The cetaceans rammed the hull for over an hour, spinning the boat 180 degrees, disabling the engine and breaking the rudder as they communicated with loud whistling. So obviously, we know that orcas hunt in pods. We know that they're extremely intelligent and they are very efficient hunters. We don't know why they're going after the boats. Some people are going to make the jump at they're going after the people on the boat. But let's be honest here. They know the boat. They may know that there are people on the boat, but they're not going after people. There has never been somebody hurt from an orca in the wild. Now, would I go swimming with an orca? Probably not on purpose. We have seen swimmers in the ocean swimming, and I think there's one video where there's like a drone, and the woman is swimming off the coast of New Zealand, and there's an orca that comes under because he's curious. We've seen paddle boarders that have been paddle boarding, and orcas are curious, so they come up and they see what's going on. We've seen off the coast of California, we've seen orcas come up to boats after a sea lion pops up on the boat to get away from an orca. We've seen orcas come close to there. We have never heard or seen orcas attack a boat before. This is something that's new. Now, the woman, Victoria Morris, said that about her sort of encounter, said totally orchestrated. Basically, she was saying it's an attack. Earlier that week, another boat in the area reported a 50-minute encounter, 50 encounter. The skipper said the force of the ramming nearly dislocated the helmsman's shoulders. That's pretty bad. At 11:30 the previous night, British couple Beverly Harris and Kevin Large's 40-foot yacht was brought to a sudden halt, then spun several times. Harris felt the boat raise a little. Now we know that orcas have gone after boats before. We know that they play around boats. We know that they've actually bit the rudder before because they're curious animals, and that's what they do. They've come up very close to boats before and have just done like this little spy hopping where they just kind of pop up and down vertically just to see what's going on. We've seen them bow ride with boats before. We've never seen this part. We've never seen a part where they've actually damaged boats. You know, the ocean is a crazy place. One thing that we should note is that there have been instances where these orcas, first of all, these orcas in the Strait of Gibraltar are endangered. There's only 30 of them left, right? That's even lower than the southern resident orca population that I always talk about in the northwestern U.S., off the coast of northwestern U.S. So there's only 30 of these left. They're in a very high shipping traffic area, right? Strait of Gibraltar is literally the entrance from the Atlantic into the Mediterranean. So there's lots of shipping going on, lots of fishing going on. There have been orcas that have been caught in gill nets and fishing nets before. You know, a lot of people are speculating, saying that maybe the orcas were distressed by maybe an orca that was a smaller orca that was stuck in a fishing line or fishing net close by, and they were taking their anger out. We don't know if that's true. That's just speculation. Some people are saying maybe the boat noise is bothering them, so they're going after the boats. Some of these were sailboats, though. You know, we really just don't know why they're going after these boats. We don't know if it's an attack. We don't know if they're playing. We really just don't know. And I wish at this point during this episode I could tell you why. I've talked to a number of different orca biologists. They don't really know what's going on. They've never heard of it. They haven't seen it themselves, and they've never really heard of this behavior going after ships, other than maybe biting on the rudder a little bit. But this is ramming. This is moving the boat around almost like it's a play toy. These are big cetaceans. These are big animals. They are animals that know how to hunt very well, and if they feel threatened, they'll probably attack. But we really don't know what's happening with these animals, and we need to know what's happening. More research and observations need to be done. Is this something that's going to happen on a regular basis? Do people need to be worried? Is this something that has to do with their population size? Is this something that has to do with them getting caught with hooks, or them getting caught with in gill nets? We don't really know. Is this because maybe there's fish around the area and they're going after the fish? They go after and the fish are around the boats. We don't really know. It says here in the state, since 1999, 2 of the Strait's 5 pods have learned to take tuna from the drop lines, leaving the fishermen pulling up the tuna head alone. So what they've actually taught themselves to go after what fishermen are going after. They're quote unquote stealing the catch because it's an easy mark. Maybe they're just trying to find where the catch is in this boat. I don't know. What I can tell you is that it's probably not trying to get the humans that are on the boat. These are dangerous animals. You do not want to be in the same water as them because they can be predatory. They've never really mistaken a human or never been known to mistake a human, never harmed a human in the wild, but it's something that you have to worry about, and I think it's kind of interesting. And here in the Guardian article that I'm looking at, I'll link to the show notes. It says there is one very unscientific phrase I hear repeatedly from several researchers: pissed off. Some speculate that a multitude of stresses these highly sentient cetaceans have endured, years of grieving lost calves, injuries, competition for fish, coupled with a pause and reintroduction of human activity, could have affected their behavior. This is a great deal we don't know yet about the orca, which, like us, have evolved complex cultures and different languages all around the world. A couple of years ago, Ken Balcom from the Center of Whale Research talked about endangered orca being dependent on scarce Chinook salmon in the Pacific Northwest. We've talked about this a while. I've seen them look at boats hauling in fish. I think they know that humans are somehow related to the scarcity of food, and I think they know that the scarcity of the food is causing them physical distress and causing them to lose babies. So is this more anthropomorphizing this area? We had Lori Marino on the podcast a while ago. She's a neuroscientist and president of the Whale Sanctuary Project and found in orca brains an astounding capacity for intelligence. She goes, if we are talking about whether killer whales have the wherewithal and the cognitive capacity to intentionally strike out someone or to be angry or really know what they are doing, I would have to say the answer is yes. They are likely defending a territory or resources. Meanwhile, Nick Irving from Reliance is wondering if he should send client's boat out after the 3 sustained damage. Is it reckless? Neither of us say it, but we're both thinking he doesn't want to be the mayor in Jaws. The obvious, if lazy stereotype that comes to mind. Word is starting to get out. Frustrating Espinada, which is one of the people in here. Friends call asking about the quote-unquote attacks, if it's safe to swim, and then she's basically saying, well, of course it is. You got to be mad to say it's not safe. Right? So a lot of people are wondering what's happening around this area, and what's happening with this. There's a lot of speculation that's happening. Do these orcas have the capacity to know what's going on? Maybe they're at such a dire need that they could be more aggressive in terms of their catch. If they see fishing boats catching fish and winning the battle, maybe they're reacting, but we can't tell that. We don't know that unless we run experiments, and it's behavioral experiments. It's really difficult to do that. One thing you hope is that this population doesn't go below 30. We hope that it increases, but we also hope that it doesn't damage any more boats or, people don't get hurt. That's a big worry for this area. But I'd like to know what you think. Do you think that a lot of this is just speculation? Do you think this is sort of a rare incident that we won't see again, or do you think this is going to continue? Or do you think it's just 2020 just rearing its ugly head at us even more in this crazy, crazy year? Love to hear your thought in probably this most unscientific episode yet, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Go to speakupforblue.com/group to join our Facebook group and let me know what you think. And also, let me know what you think. Go on Instagram, Twitter, @SpeakUpForBlue. That's where we're found. You can talk to me then. Or if you want to just send me an email, drop me a line, andrew@speakupforblue.com. Other than that, thank you so much for listening to the Speak Up for the Ocean Blue podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Lewin. Have a great day. We'll talk to you on Friday, and happy conservation.